Hi everyone, my name is Steph, this is the Novelty Corner, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to my series review of a sapphic paranormal holiday romance series called Les the Halls, which was a multi-author series of novellas that are all seasonally holiday themed, not necessarily Christmas, but holiday themed around December holidays. And they're all paranormal romances, they all feature sapphic relationships in various combinations, and I was really excited to try this because one of the things I've been trying to find are more sapphic romances that I love, because I have a very small sort of collection that I've really loved, and then some that just have not worked for me. And I'm trying to find, you know, those ones that I can just really fall in love with. And I've talked about this before, when you read series, particularly multi-authored series, not everything is going to work. And in this case, there are 5 novellas in this series. 3 of them worked for me for the most part, and 2 I DNF'd. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I tried all of them and I, was really pleasantly surprised by a couple of them. And, at the end of the day, I'm not going to love everything. No reader is going to love everything that anyone writes. So we're going to talk about the 5 books in the Les the Halls series. The first one is A Witch For Solstice, which is by Darva Gwynn. This novella is 68 pages long. We are in the POV for the most part of Bridget, who is a fire witch who has been very tightly controlled by her witch community for a long time. When she was younger, she didn't have as good control over her abilities. She was responsible for a fire that had a huge impact on the community. And so since then, they've basically stripped her from using her powers, kept her locked up, and allowed her to continue at witch school, but not to access her powers, which is a huge problem because basically her fire abilities are kind of building up inside of her. However, during the holiday season, when the rest of the students at this school are home, but she is still there because she's not allowed to leave, a dragon horde attack the castle to steal something from the castle. And she happens to realize that this is the case, and that if she can get away from the school, then she can ask for sanctuary or help or whatever. And so she hides in the box that the dragons steal. And she essentially is delivered to the Dragon Queen herself. And it's their romance and relationship. It's a fated mates. It's very much an insta love kind of thing because of the fated mates trope. But it was really fun. And I think this was in my top 2 favorite books of this little collected series. I should also say that these books are not interconnected. They're just seasonally themed connected. Book 2 in the series is Red Light, Green Light, which is my favorite of the books. It is a sapphic polyamorous 58-page novella, and it is reindeer shifters. So all of Santa's reindeer are female reindeer shifters, and to become one of the reindeers on Santa's sleigh team, there's an annual competition. People take on the characteristics of Santa's reindeer's names. They're basically job titles. So this one is from the perspective of Winter, who is one of the new hopefuls. She is tipped to be hired straight away off the bat. She's the rookie, and there is a lot of expectation on her to do well. And she gets there, and there is some hazing from the other hopeful reindeers, who one of whom is like a legacy. Her mother was a reindeer and has very much that mean girl energy, and ends up locking Winter in the change rooms for the official team, where she meets Merrily and Felicity, who are 2 of the current team. And Merrily and Felicity are in a relationship, and it turns out that Winter might be their fated third. And it is delightful and steamy. I really enjoyed this one. It was really fun, and it was very fast paced, and it kind of just got to the point of everything, which was really nice. Then there is the Yuletide Fairies Curse. This one is by Lila Gwynn, and it was the last of the books that I actually read through. I didn't DNF this one, although in hindsight, I probably should have. I didn't love this one, and it's not that it was bad, it just didn't necessarily work for me. So our main character is Della, and her family has been cursed, and every Yuletide a fairy comes and steals a member of her family, and they all happen to be part of the royal family of this kingdom. And it has to do with a deal between the seasonal holiday gods. And while Della was never expected to become heir, she was 10th in line to the throne, but every year since then. And it is the relationship between Della and the fairy who steals her, Colfroster, who is kind of the antithesis of Puck. And I don't know much about the mythology in this sense, because it's just not something that I've read much about before or even delved into. But essentially, it's the competing of winter versus summer or spring. Anyway, it has very much the captor-captive kind of vibes, and for me, that doesn't always work. It has to be something very specific, and I think I would need a longer story to unpack that, because 64 pages for me is not enough information to really unravel the distrust between these 2 characters. It was still fun, it was well written, I'm not saying it's a bad book at all, it just wasn't my personal taste, and that's totally fine because not everything is for every reader. And then we come to the last 2 books, which are the 2 that I did DNF. The first one was The Fires of Longest Night. This one is by J.C. Rycroft. Mostly the reason that this didn't work for me was it was just the writing style. It just didn't appeal to me, it didn't hook me, and I wasn't ready to continue reading. It is about Nissa. She is sort of being used by her family to shore up political alliances and things like that, and she's not happy about it. She is kind of obsessed with a dragon rider who she, you know, would like to get to know more, but her family kind of keep interfering. And sort of some of the information that was given about the book was that, you know, it includes some of that feminine rage kind of stuff, which normally I like. I've read plenty of feminine rage books this year and I really enjoy them, but I just don't think that in this format. Also, this book is part of another series, so I think I'm missing a bit of context, even though it should stand on its own. It led probably too more into the fantasy side of things for me when I don't have a lot of context. The last book was Ice Queen Alpha by Lily X, which is a sapphic Omegaverse story, and it features very much a Scrooge character. So how to describe this? Okay, so it's a workplace romance. It's a magic distillery. So Desi works in a magic distillery. She is the PA for the woman who runs this distillery. And basically there they create magic that is then bottled and people are able to access it. And the boss is the Scrooge character, and she is making everyone work on the winter solstice eve. She's not letting anyone go home. She's planning on keeping there until they meet their quotas, etc. Like, very not a happy work environment. And Desi, despite being the PA to this person, is very much someone who other people gravitate towards and talk to and confide in, and she, you know, tries to help them out as much as she can, including trying to cover for them so that they can go to their children's performances and whatnot, and then, you know, ends up being told off and being told she's being unprofessional and whatnot. And this one is I think the longest of the novellas at 84 pages. I got about a quarter of the way through it. When this happens, when you have characters who are so at odds with one another, who are so frustrated with someone else's behavior, like the person who's going to be the love interest, I need more. I don't think you can, I mean, maybe the author can, but in that 25% that I read, it feels really hard to redeem a character who is determined not to see the perspective of other people. And I just, yeah, wasn't for me. So that one I did put down. This one I was probably most disappointed about DNFing, because I am dipping my toes into a Omegaverse. I'm not going to fully go down that rabbit hole, I know myself, but I want to have a variety of books that I can say that I've read and I've enjoyed and that I can recommend to other people who maybe are happy to dip their toes in but don't want to go fully down the rabbit hole like me. Alas, this was not one of the books that worked for that. Tea break. So anyway, that is the Les the Hall series. I'm really, really glad that I tried it, because 5 new authors, novellas, I think are a great way to start trying new authors. The paranormal element for me is always perfect, because that is one of my most read subgenres of romance. Like the first 2 books, I'd be curious to try more books by the same authors. So for me, that's a win. That's, you know, 2/5 of the books. I mean, usually my ratio is a lot worse when it comes to multi-author series. The number of authors that I decide I'm not going to continue reading is much higher than that. So I'm pretty pleased. I'm happy with that, and I'm glad that I gave it a try. I will leave the titles and the authors all down below, so if you forget or you want to go back, come back later and look them up, you absolutely can. It is a series that's on Kindle Unlimited, and just because something didn't work for me, maybe it will work for you. I'm really curious to know if you have tried any of these books, or if you're planning on picking them up. Feel free to let me know. Otherwise, if you just want to let me know that you're here but you don't want to leave a comment, feel free to leave a dear emoji. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you're staying safe and healthy, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, everyone.